What up, what up? Welcome on into Inside Baylor Sports, the official daily podcast of Baylor Athletics. On today's show, we're recapping a busy weekend in Baylor Athletics and look ahead to the next 2 months for our Olympic sports teams as they take center stage to finish out the 23-24 academic calendar year. All that and more coming up on the show. Don't forget, you can catch Inside Baylor Sports every weekday. You can also watch the video version for free over at BaylorPlus.com and on the Baylor Athletics YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, rate, and review the pod, and follow Baylor Plus today on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. It's the official content network of Baylor Athletics. Think Netflix for your Baylor Bears. Download the app on your mobile device and sign up for your free 7-day trial today at BaylorPlus.com. It's Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Justin Hoff alongside good friend and the Baylor Bear insider, Jerry Hill. Jerry, we're talking Olympic sports. I like this time of the year. Basketballs are done now. Football's done. Obviously, we got spring football, but April 20th. But aside from that, it's really time to, these last 2 months, to lock in on the Olympic sports. The season's changing. It's starting to get hot outside, and it's time for these teams to really get spotlighted. So as we look at it, Jerry, the first one up, softball. Baylor softball right now, 19-12 overall, 3-9 in Big 12 play, 14th in the RPI. They got off to a great start. Been a bit rocky here the last 3 weeks, but a change here in April, a time for them to maybe get back into rhythm and start putting together a strong winning streak.
Yeah, and I thought a key to that, Justin, starting this closing stretch, I guess you could say, is winning 2 of 3 from Iowa State. You certainly had a chance to sweep that series and probably should have. You take a lead, a 2-0 lead in, the second game. You've shut them out for 13 innings, and then give up 3 runs in the 7th to lose that one. So that was a heartbreaking loss. But came back, bounced back, won the next game. Won that series, and even in that one, they responded. When they got out to a lead, and then Iowa State, tied it up at 4-4. Baylor answered. So I think that was a good thing to see. And then Riley Crandall finishing that one out strong. Like, she pitched such a great game on the Thursday night game, winning it 6-0 with a 1-hitter. And then she finished strong in that game 3 to win the series. I thought that was big. And just not a look at their schedule the rest of the way. And certainly, they still have Texas left. But for the most part, these are all winnable series and maybe even series where they can sweep. So I think they can make a lot of hay down the stretch and really kind of move up the ladder in the Big 12. A little bit of their start was, playing, I guess maybe 3 of the top 4 teams in your first 3 series. So that's where you start out 1-8, and it's hard to recover from that. But I think if they can kind of piece together some series wins and maybe some sweeps, like you said, their RPI is 14th right now. It's not like they have to do anything unbelievable. They just got to take care of business. And they can wind up hosting at the end, hosting a regional at the end, which would be huge for this program.
Yeah, the strength of schedule will come down some as they had kind of a top-heavy schedule there with some of the teams. So in order to keep that RPI, they're going to have to win games. And as we said, 19-12 right now overall. Like to see that number up around the 35 number before the season's over. And then 3-9 in conference play, like to get over 500 for sure. 10-5 at home, 4-7 away. And you look at this week, a great opportunity for some more wins. You think about Texas State on Wednesday. That's in San Marcos. And then Texas Tech this weekend at home, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'd love to go 4-0 this week and just kind of keep building there. And then next week, you got UTSA on the road. And then the final series against Texas, a Friday home game and in Waco. And then you head to Austin for Saturday and Sunday. And about a month from now will be the Phillips 66 Big 12 Softball Championship, then the regionals, super regionals, and then the Women's College World Series. So a lot in front of the Baylor softball team as they try to play their best ball, peak at the right time, and as we move into May. As for the Baylor baseball team, Jerry, this team 10-17 overall, 5-7 in conference play, a 2-game winning streak right now, 9-8 at home, 1-6 on the road. This team, of course, has battled through injuries all season long. You lose one of your best hitters, Hunter Simmons, early in the season, Gavin Brzezowski, and others on this team. I mean, you can go on and on about injuries, but they've really fought, and I think they're really starting to turn the corner here the last couple of weeks, showing improvement from last season to this season. And I'm excited to see these last couple months for Baylor baseball.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Justin, I guess what it's out of the first four conference series, you've won two of them. So I like the way they're playing. I like the way that they just keep battling. Like you said, I mean, a team that's gone through a lot of injuries, even going back preseason, losing Jack Little, Cole Posey, you haven't been able to use him very much. Will Pendergrass at first gets hurt at Texas. I mean, there's just been a lot of things that they've had to fight through. But here they sit at 5-7 in Big 12, with a chance to have a really good finish in conference play. So I like where the team is. They keep finding guys to step in and really play well. Obviously, Wesley Jordan has really come on as a hitter. He started playing a little bit in left field as well. But yeah, I just think they've got a lot of guys clicking. Daniel Altman, moving in at second base, Mason Greer over to first base. So, I like the way this team is clicking. And like you said, they're on a 2-game winning streak. They've got 4 more, I believe, at home, including the Incarnate Word series this weekend. So, you piece together 4 more wins, and you're getting closer to 500 overall, and then, start going back into conference play next weekend. You got a chance to get over 500 in conference play as well.
Houston Christian tonight, 6:30, Big 12 Now, ESPN Plus out at Baylor Ballpark. And then Incarnate Word, as Jerry said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then you have opportunities, BYU series, Kansas series, West Virginia, TCU, Oklahoma, UCF. A lot of season left for this team. And obviously one of the goals is to make the Big 12 a tournament after missing it last year. And that would be another step in the right direction for Baylor baseball, also to eclipse last year's win total, 20 wins. And I think Baylor baseball heading in the right direction there. So as the weather warms up and maybe the bats can continue to warm up, sometimes they say with the humid air or the warmer air, right, it travels a little bit better. So we'll see how it all shakes out there. As for Baylor women's tennis, they're in the heart of their season right now, 15-8 overall, 7-3 in conference play, 8-1 at home, 5-7 on the road. Have lost their last 2, but this is obviously a big opportunity for them coming up these next couple weeks. You think about their upcoming opponents this weekend, TCU on the road. Then you have SMU next week, then Oklahoma and Texas next weekend. And then you have the Big 12 championships in Stillwater, Oklahoma, Jerry. It's go time for women's tennis, right? This is the heart. This is the prime part of the season.
Yeah, and what you like is, Joey really turned this over this year. Like, there's a lot of new faces on this team, very, very few holdovers from last year. And they've contributed. They've really done well. And, and I look at that Texas Tech match the other day, and yeah, Texas Tech won 4-0, but you look in every one of those, particularly the ones that were left. I mean, Baylor's right in there. This was a match they potentially could have won. It's on the road against a top 25 team. Always tough to play in Lubbock, but they were right there. I mean, I think they had 3 or 4 matches, singles matches that were going into 3 sets. So they're not as far away as you might think, as that 4-0 score might indicate. This is a team that can close well. They do have, some tougher matches coming up that kind of, like you said, kind of the meat of their schedule is right now. They've played a lot of the, lower tier teams already in conference. So it is a hard closing stretch, but if they can knock off a couple teams and really kind of, stay up there in the upper tier of the conference, they can make some noise in postseason.
And both the men's and women's tennis have been kind of, mired in that 25 to 35 range as far as rankings. And so both teams obviously got some work to do to host on the men's and women's tennis side. You got to get top 16 there. So both teams hopefully can, get put together some win streaks. As we look at men's tennis, 18-7 on the season, 2-2 in conference play. Winners of their last 3, 13-3 on the season at home, 3-4 on the road. And once again, you look at all these different sports, it's a lot easier to win home matches or home games. And it just shows if you go on the road and you win some, how big it is. They got a nice win over Texas Tech at home. this past weekend, 4-1 on Thursday, and then a nice win out in Provo, Utah, 4-2 on Saturday. Oklahoma State, Texas. Those are the remaining matches, 3 remaining matches in the regular season for Baylor men's tennis. This weekend, they go out to Oklahoma. Some big matches there. Love to get 2 wins. Will not be easy in Oklahoma for the victories. But, Jerry, this is, once again, they're into the season here and going into it with a 3-game winning streak.
And I like, again, how competitive they've been, and even some of the matches they've lost, Justin, that they have taken it into 3 sets. And because I look back to a couple of times that they've played against TCU, again, the final score might be 4-0, 4-1, whatever, but they're right there. They're not as far away as you would think. So, I think Michael's done a great job with this team, and again, a lot of new faces, and kind of trying to rebuild from when you were in the national championship a few years back. I guess that was 21 that they were in the national championship match and losing to Florida. So he's trying to rebuild to that point. I don't know if that happens this year, but I think he's kind of building in the right direction. And of course, we host NCAA team and individuals next year. So it'd be nice to continue on that upward trend and have a really good team that's, capable of doing like a Final Four run next year in 25.
Living in Stillwater this month. That's where the Big 12 championships are for tennis, and for men's tennis, 18-7 overall. So if you could get to 20 wins before you hit the postseason, the Big 12 championships, maybe win 2 of the last 3 would be great. 3 of 3 would be icing on the cake. And so we'll see how Baylor men's tennis prevails these next couple matches. As for Baylor acrobatics and tumbling, 7-0 on the season, number 1 overall, have done just about everything, hit the 280 mark, eclipsed that 281.600 in their last meet in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Got a big one this weekend against number 3 Oregon, their rival on the A&T side. That's Friday, 8 o'clock Central Time out in Eugene. Their final tune-up before the national championships at the end of the month in West Virginia, and would love to see another 280, Jerry.
Yeah, and I would argue there's not a rival for Baylor A&T. I think Oregon is the closest. You're right, and obviously they won the first 4 NCAA national championships under Coach Mulkey. But yeah, I think Baylor is kind of a step above everybody else. I think it is nice, though, Justin, that they have been pushed in a few of these matches. So I believe it was Gannon gave them a good go, and even UMHB, a fairly new program, lost by single digits. So I think it's good that other teams are rising up. Baylor is still in that upper echelon, still kind of above everybody else. That's the bar that everybody else is chasing. But yeah, this will be good. A test on the road before you go to national championships. And yeah, again, Oregon is a really good team. They've kind of taken steps, and I think they're getting back closer to what they used to be. So yeah, I think this will be maybe their toughest test to date is on the road at Oregon.
These 2 teams faced off February 25th. Oregon was number 2 at that time. So about a month ago at the Farrell Center, Baylor won 278.935 to 271.835. So won that by about 7 points there. It's something to watch, no doubt. And of course, the NCAA national championships at the end of the month. Really looking forward to that. Heading back to the great state of West Virginia, of course, the Mountaineer State. All those mountains there. Hopefully get some good weather at the end of the month there. As for Baylor Equestrian, 3-11 on the season, 1-5 in conference play. They finished up their regular season and also the Big 12 championships, coming out in 3rd place there, losing to TCU in a nail biter, 10-9 on Friday. Of course, the Big 12 Equestrian Championships were held here in Waco, Texas this past weekend, and then defeated Fresno State 14-6 on Saturday, Jerry.
Yeah, and again, I keep talking about all these close losses. I mean, Baylor was right there with TCU. Obviously a great team. Has been dominant most of this year, and Baylor was right there with TCU. It's tied going into horsemanship, the last event. All Baylor's got to do is win that event, and you win the meet. Came up just a little bit short, 10-9. And I looked at this scoring, Justin, and I think there was one ride where Baylor lost by less than a point. And one of the judges, it basically came down to one judge. One judge had their rider at like a 77 or something, and the other two had them at 75. So that was the difference, was less than a point, and it was basically came down to one judge. That was the difference between Baylor winning that one and potentially playing Oklahoma State in the championship game.
Of course, the NCEA National Championships coming up in 2 weeks. Baylor will have to wait word to see if they're invited to that. So we'll see how that shakes out. Baylor Equestrian social media, you can follow that for the latest updates over on your Baylor EQ team. As for Baylor track and field, well, if it's going to warm up, you know there's going to be some track involved. And there's going to be that. And, of course, we have a couple home meets left. Gainesville, Florida, April 12th through the 13th. But that following weekend, it's the Michael Johnson Invitational at Clyde Hart Track and Field Stadium, one of the best stadiums in the country. Brand new track this season. And really looking forward to May 9th through May 11th. That's when the Big 12 Outdoor Championships will be hosted by Baylor here in Waco. Looking forward to that. So 4 meets left in the season before the NCAA tournament begins. And always exciting to see the warm weather and to have the Big 12 championships in Waco as Baylor looking to get a trophy this season.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the couple of home meets left. The Michael Johnson is always a big deal. I mean, it tracks a lot of great teams. Ever since this track opened, it's been, an even more attractive meet. And I think the fact that you've got so many top teams coming in, there's always some great marks and times out of this meet. And that'll be a fun weekend, Justin. Here we are talking about all the spring sports, and I think just about all of them, are playing that weekend. We've got the spring game that weekend. We've got the MJ going on. I believe baseball and softball are home. We've got a lunch with a legend that Thursday with Alfred Anderson. So, yeah, that'll be a fun weekend just to kind of, put it all together and see if we can get a lot of wins that weekend. But I'm excited about track. Alexis Brown, she's been amazing. She's already set the long jump indoor and outdoor record. Nathaniel Ezekiel having another great year. So should be fun. And I love, being able to host the conference championships. I remember the first time we did over at the old Hart Patterson track and what a big deal that was. But I think it's even, a cooler event being able to host it at the new track at the Clyde Hart Track and Field Stadium.
2 more sports to go through. We're heading out, taking some swings here. Women's golf and men's golf. Keep Jerry away from your golf course, by the way. But not a lot left on the women's golf season. They have the Texas Showdown coming up this next week, April 8th through the 9th in Dallas. But then the Big 12 Championships in Hockley, Texas, April 18th through the 20th. And then after that is the NCAA Regionals. So once again, it's that time of the season, and this is where Jay Goebel just has this magic touch. Every year he has this innate ability to say, hey, we're going to play our best right now. And he does that. And so really looking forward to what the next 2 months have to offer for women's golf.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head because that's what Jay does. I look back to even that 2015 team that wound up being, in the national championship match. And in the fall, that team was nowhere. I mean, I think they weren't even really in position to make the NCAA tournament. That's how bad they were in the fall. And then they wound up, as the number 2 team in the nation. And I'm not putting that on this team yet. But they are certainly playing better than they did in the fall. They just, came off a 6th place finish at the ASU Ping Invitational. They were in 3rd, and I believe at one point they were 2nd, right behind the winner. So they were right there in the run. And this is a great field at the ASU Ping Invitational. So, the fact that they went, head to head with some of the best teams in the nation and finished 6th, I think it sets them up for a really good postseason, Justin.
And then finally, Baylor men's golf, the Aggie Invitational this weekend down there in Bryan, Texas, April 6th and the 7th. And then they head out to Phoenix for a meet there, a match. And then also Big 12 Championship in Trinity, Texas, April 22nd through the 24th. And then on to the regionals. So men's golf usually about a week behind the women. And for this men's golf team, got some seniors on the team. Johnny Kiefer, of course, who's been a household name. Feels like Johnny Kiefer has been here almost as long as Jerry Hill. But looking forward to Johnny and the team finishing this thing strong.
Yeah, and I think anytime you have a number one like Johnny Kiefer, it always gives you a chance. Obviously golf is both an individual and a team sport, but when you have a number one at the top of your lineup like that, I think it always gives you a chance because really you got to fill in with three more scores basically because they count the top four scores each day. You know that Johnny's pretty much going to give you a good score every day. So all you got to do is get three other guys, three of your other four to fill in. And this team even has some depth. So, Coach McGraw has to make, some choices. He's got options. And that's a nice thing to have. So we'll see how they finish. But this is a team that's capable, again, of a good postseason run, maybe make it back to the NCAA championships, give Johnny Kiefer one more run at it in his fifth year.
That's the next 2 months. That's what it looks like. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see the green and gold compete all throughout the country and hopefully pull down a couple championships in the Big 12 and maybe more in the NCAAs. That'll do it for today's edition of Inside Baylor Sports, a Sport and Story production. Thanks for listening. For Jerry Hill, I'm Justin Hoff. Have a great Tuesday and sick 'em
Bears.